Okay, so for the algebra questions last night, number 6, angle JLN was 42, JLN 42, MLK 90, KLO 42, and JLO 138. Yep. I don't need to see a darn thing. Yep. If it doesn't say justify, just however you're going to get it. All right, I don't need to know where it came from. Yes. No, that was the question. Unless it says justify, I don't need to see anything. So no proofs. Nope. I could just see the answer, and that's all I'm good for. Okay. If it says justify or explain, then you put your reasons next to it. Number 7, everybody. Number 7, HKI 56, HKG 124, and angle GKJ 146. Number 8, ABD is 70, and so is DBE, because they were congruent to each other. So hopefully you got the same answer there, 70 and 70. Number 9, FKJ is 40, FKG is 40, GKH is 100, JKI 140. Number 10, AEC 120, AED 60, and CEB is also 60. And then we get to big number 11. Little challenge question I threw out there because I'm dealing with the upper half of Algebra 1. Well, first off, I hope you noticed, or maybe you didn't, that this problem also referred to the diagram above. So the diagram you guys used on number 10 was also for number 11. Hopefully you're not like, oh, I needed to do my own, and I don't know how that worked out for you, but all right. No, the diagram we used is the one given in number 10. I'll just throw it out to you. Anybody think they found X or any of the angles using some algebra from last year? What's up, Remy? It is 45. Excellent job. 45. So is Y. Yep. X and Y are 45. Yep. Okay, I'm going to do that one right up here now. All right, take a look, because I know some of you might have some painful experiences from algebra last year, and how the heck do I do an equation with an X and a Y? So let me review real quick. So those were my angles. Can you help me out here? You know your geometry. What type of angles are these right here, the 3X and the Y? Linear pairs, so they are supplementary. What type of angles are these right here? Linear pairs, so they add up to 180. What type of angles are these? Vertical, so they are congruent. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, you could take the vertical, supplementary, any two pairs there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these supplementary angles. Okay, watch what happens. I'm going to take 2x minus y plus, what angle is it supplementary to? Or the one angle that's given? 3x, and that's equal to 180. Everyone agrees with that statement. Okay, can we just clean this up real quick? So what, 2x and 3x? 5x minus y equals 180. Everyone's in agreement? We're all good there? Okay, what are the other pair of supplementary angles you just told me about? Name the other pair of supplementary angles in this diagram. Here you go. Let's roll with 23. 23, what's the other pair of supplementary angles up here? I got these two. Where's the other pair? Ready? 3x plus y also equals 180. Everyone agrees? Are we okay on where I came up with these two statements? Because that's the geometry part. Now I'm going to get to the algebra part. Oh, anybody questions? Okay, the algebra part. Solving both of these at the same time. What do you notice about the y's? One's negative, one's positive. What are they going to do with each other? See ya! They're gone. How many x's are you left with now? 8x, not equal to 180. 180 plus 180, 360. Divide both sides by 8. That's how you ended up with x to be 45. Now, go back. What can I do with the value of x? Substitute it in, at least for this one right here. And then once you find that, I think everyone else could find the other angles because they're vertical or supplementary. Okay? So x was equal to 45. Everyone see where we came up with the y's canceled each other out, made it nice and convenient. I didn't have to do any other crazy algebra there. All right? In this class, would I give this on a test or quiz? Probably not for AB, but definitely maybe throw it on a bonus or something. Okay, I wouldn't expect you to do some hardcore algebra from last year. Are there any of the other algebra questions you want me to do that I just read off? Any of the other algebra questions before I head to the proofs? What do you got, Avery? Number 9, you got it. Let me just take a second and cut it out. Okay, there's 9. Okay, here you go. Let's see if I'm given FKG. This angle is congruent to FKH. This angle. Got it? That's a line. Perfect. All right, here we go. Couple things I could fill in. Anybody know why I know that angle's 40? Right off the bat. Here we go, Mason. Let's roll. Those two are vertical. What do you know about vertical angles? They're congruent, so that's got to be 40. We're all good. These 3 angles here, take a look. These 3, the 40 I was given and the 2 that are congruent add up to what? 180 because they form a straight line. Yes? No, oh, hold on. FKG and FKG. Oh, okay, got it. Thank you. So get that one out of there and put it there. Better? Thanks for that one contribution all year, Fiona, correcting me. Thanks. All right, so that makes it, if these are vertical, that makes this easy. So these 2 are equal, so that's 40. And going back to my question there, what do you know about these 3 angles? They add up to, don't say they're supplementary because only 2 angles can be supplementary. These 3 angles add to 180 because they form a straight line. So if that's 40 and 40, how many degrees do I have already? 80. How many are left over to get to 180? 100. Okay, so that's going to be 100. Good so far, Avery? All right, now, what do I know about these 2 angles here, the 40 and the one next to it? $25. What do I know about these 2 angles here? They add to 180. They're a linear pair. They're supplementary. So if that's 40, this will be 140. Yep. You don't have to do the whole thing, but I have a question. Thank you. Everyone calm down. The little kids are all right. Okay. All right. For number 6, why wouldn't NLJ and KLO be the same? Say that again. NLJ. Yep. And KLO. They are the same. 42 degrees. Oh. Yeah. They're 42 degrees. Okay. They are the same because they're vertical. You're correct. Yeah. All right. That's what I thought, Fiona. Karma. Other questions on the algebra ones before I get to the proofs? All right, I want to do a proof with you. One of the proofs that you had to do. I want to go to this one right here, number 4, because this one was a beast. Many of you know you got to use substitution, but I don't think you really are. I don't think we're grasping the fact that it may be more than one substitution. All right, let me show you this example up here. Okay, without doing any geometry. Is that going to bug some people? The fire alarm's going off. It's like a car alarm. All right. A is equal to B, B is equal to C. Can you guys get me to A equals D somehow? But can you do it in one substitution step? Can anybody in here do it in one substitution? No. All right, you're going to have to do a couple. All right. Pick two right now and do substitution with it. Let's pick these two. If I take those two, use substitution, and what do I end up getting out from those two? 29. What do I end up getting from those two? A equals C. What did we just do? One substitution. How do I go from these two now? What do you get from these two? Let's go. 2. What do I get from these two? A equals D. How'd you do it? Second substitution. Do you see what I'm saying there? All right, so if I put this in a statements reason column, how many times should the word substitution come out? Twice, not once. All right, twice. That's what I'm trying to show you when we do this problem right now. That I know some of you see the givens and a bunch of vertical angles and then just wrote 4 congruent to 6 substitution. You didn't substitute once to get there. Watch how many times you actually substituted. Look at the givens right now. 1 congruent to 2, 2 congruent to 3. Somebody come up with a conclusion for those. Here you go, 15. Can you come up with a conclusion for me? 1 congruent to 2, 2 congruent to 3, therefore. And what did you just use there? Okay, your first substitution, everybody, is right here. There's your first substitution. It doesn't have to go in this order, but I'm just trying to drive home the point. It is more than one substitution. Look at your diagram. Can you give me any other pairs of angles that may be congruent based on that diagram? And remember where our goal is. Our goal is to get 4 and 6. So hopefully you want to start telling me something about angle 4 or maybe something about angle 6. Can you do that for me on the diagram? 13, can you do that for me? Okay, I'm good with that. How do you know that? Vertical angles are congruent. Nice job. Can you now look at my last 2 steps? 1's congruent to 3, 1's congruent to 4. Therefore, here you go, 12. Can you conclude anything now? Look at statements 2 and 3. How'd you do that? Using substitution. Notice, guys, this is my second substitution in the proof. 1 will not do it to go directly to 4 to 6. All right, we're almost there. Can you guys involve angle 6 somehow for me? Can you guys involve angle 6 in that diagram for me? 22, anything you know about 6 in another angle? Why? Vertical angles are congruent again. Woohoo! And it does not have to be in this order. I'm just trying to drive home the darn point that you need more than one substitution here. All right, can you guys use those two now? 4 congruent to 3, 6 congruent to 3. Where do you end up with? 2. Where do you end up? How? Substitution. So how many times did I actually have to substitute in this proof? 3 times. I'm going to just, a slight piece of advice. If it starts clicking inside your head that you're going to have to use more than one substitution, do everything in a single step. Because I'm thinking that a lot of you put those all in the same step. And when you put all of them in the same step, it's kind of hard to see all the different substitutions that you need. So if it clicks in your head that, oh boy, I need to use multiple substitutions here, might be a good idea to write it out individually. All right? Okay, any other proofs you want me to go over before I come around? Jack, number 5. All right, you take a look at number 5 real quick. Jack, what words do you see right away that bounce right out of the paper as far as vocabulary goes. Complementary. Yep. And how many theorems do I have that involve complementary angles? I have 2. Darn right I do. I have one that says they're complementary to the same angle. Let's stop right there. 1 and 4, the ones I'm trying to prove congruent. They're complementary to, let's see, Jack, 2 and 3, right? Are they the same angle or different angles? They're different angles, so I won't use complements of the same angle. But what do you know about, look at my diagram. What do you know about 2 and 3? Why? You're right. 2 and 3, what type of angles are they? They're congruent because they are? Oh, what type? Come on. 2 intersecting vertical angles. So 2 and 3 are congruent. And what's the theorem say, Jack, about 2 angles that are complements of congruent angles? They are congruent. So what you need to show me first in statement 2 is, what are the congruent angles up here? So 2 and 3 are congruent. Vertical angles are congruent. And then you could say 1 and 4 are congruent because complements of. There we go. Yep. 3-stepper right there. Others that you want to talk over here? Any of the other proofs that you want to talk over? Number 3, because we did 2 in class. 1, 3. That's really about it. 1 or 3. Or yep. Okay, we're trying to prove 3 congruent to 4. 2 different ways you could do this. 2 different ways. Guys, name AB. What is ABD and ACE other than rays? Those are what type of angles? ABD and ACE. Straight angles, right? And what do you know about straight angles? They add up to 180 and they are congruent to each other. So what could you, one way is, what could you have done with your straight angles and angles 1 and 2 to get to 3 and 4? I could have subtracted them. But first I would need to tell you that the straight angles are congruent. That's one way. Another way, what do I know about 1 and 3? Start using your vocabulary here. 1 and 3. Linear pairs, keep going. That makes them supplementary. What do I know about 2 and 4? There are linear pairs, so they're supplementary. Do I have a theorem that says anything about angles that are supplementary to congruent angles? Bless you. Because 3 and 4 are supplementary to these 2. And what do we know about 1 and 2? What do we know about angles 1 and 2? Congruent. What do you know about supplements of congruent angles? They're congruent. So you need to tell me 1 and 3 are supplementary, 2 and 4 are supplementary, and then you could say 3 congruent to 4 because supplements of congruent angles are congruent. So 2 different ways. You can say subtraction or you can involve supplementary angles. Okay, let me see what you did. While I'm walking around, you can set up the first per today under day 7 in your notes. All right, as you're setting up number 1, let's talk. First question, how many angles are getting bisected? How many angles are getting bisected? Just 1. That tells me it's not going to be halves of equal quantities, because how many angles would need to get bisected to use halves of equal quantities? 2. All right, so this is not going to be halves, but you could still mark something on your diagram. What's a bisector do? Cuts it into 2 congruent parts. What's CE cutting in half? ADB. Where should you have arc marks? You should not have any hash marks on this diagram. CE is cutting angle ADB in half. Where should you have arc marks right now? What 2 angles must be congruent based on that fact? Here you go, 22. Which 2 angles are congruent? Angle A, I didn't hear the rest. Yep, ADE is going to be congruent to EDB. Nice job. Okay, those 2 angles are congruent because CE bisects the whole angle. We all good there? All right, I told you yesterday, Do not overlook this fact that you're given lines, and in this case, they intersect each other. Don't overlook that. They give that to you for a reason. Can you find any other pairs of angles in that diagram that are congruent? On your own. On your own, are there any other pairs of angles up there that are congruent? Don't add in new words, please. Don't add in new words. There's no complementary, supplementary up here. Any other pairs of angles? Do we see any? 18, you see anything else? Do you see any other pairs of angles that are congruent other than ones we've already marked because of the bisector? These two? Okay, I'm waiting to hear your explanation. Okay, I didn't get an explanation, and two, you just threw another random angle out there. So I have no idea where this is going right now. Do you see any other congruent angles up there? Because the ones you gave me, A and B, no chance. Okay, remember what I told you, FDB and CDE intersect. If two lines intersect, they form vertical angles, don't they? Do you see a pair of vertical angles formed by those two intersecting lines that you could give me right now? Oh, hold on, FDC and BDE. Everyone agree on those two? Right here, the top one right here, FDC and BDE. This one right here. I'm not going to mark it congruent again. Do we see those? Watch. If you need to highlight the intersecting lines, do so. See those vertical angles sticking out big time now. Okay. How am I going to get to ADE? Now these two being equal, because that's what it's asking me to prove. You guys showed me why these two are equal. We'll write that down in a second. And you guys showed me why these two are equal. We'll write it down in a second. But now why would those two be equal? I just want to make a plan before I write it down. 13, where are we at? 13? Okay, I'm still waiting for you to say that one magic word I'm looking for. These two are equal, these two are equal. So these two will be equal by, there we go, substitution. This is a substitution proof. Everyone see it? Okay, first thing. First pair of angles we said were congruent were angle AD. Oh, now I've erased everything, but was it AD? Is this an E down here? ADE congruent to EDB. It's these two we're talking about right here. Why did we mark those congruent again? A little help, 18. Why did we mark those congruent? So, definition of a bisector, got it. Although it was painful, we got angle FDC congruent to angle EDB. These two here. Why? 11. And I know vertical angles are congruent. Anybody losing their self-respect and still putting CLE at the end of vertical? Check yourself. Come on. We're better than that. And then finally, how did I get ADE and FDC equal? Because I took statements 2 and 3 and did a little 28 substitution with them. Yep. All right. Anything you want to ask on that one? Could you have these two flipped, statements 2 and 3? Yeah, you could have had it flipped. That's fine. Anything? Okay, I don't want you to move around, but you can certainly work with people in your group if you feel like it, or if you'd rather roll solo, that's fine too. We're just chugging along here. The homework is to finish these. So however much you get done, that's however much less time you're going to spend on the math homework tonight. I'm going to advise, if you want me to look at the proof, I highly recommend that. I'll show you. I'll tell you if it's good to go or not. Or if you're struggling with a reason or a statement, let me know. Okay, let's get it going. Let's get it going. Use the people in your group as a resource.